ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا مولانا يا مولانا. ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا في رجواك مولانا أسهرنا لأجفانا فامنن يا مولانا فضلا لا تنسانا مولانا يا مولانا. ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا إن أمر أعيانا أو دهر عنانا لا نوم ملجانا إلا من مولانا مولانا يا مولانا. ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا رب اسمع شكوانا وأجب يا ربي دعانا وبنا يا مولانا لا تشمت أعدانا مولانا يا مولانا. ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا وأصلح يا ربي محيانا ودنيانا وأخرانا وجمل وجد موعانا ولا تحيب مسعانا مولانا يا مولانا. ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات محمد لا تقطع رجانا مولانا يا مولانا. ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات حبيبنا بلغنا بمرعانا مولانا يا مولانا. ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات محمد تقبل دعانا مولانا يا مولانا. ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات نبينا تقبل دعانا مولانا يا سيدنا ويا قاضي حاجاتنا بحرمات محمد تقبل دعانا مولانا يا مولانا. ويا سميع لدعانا بحرمات محمد لا یا رب دل مسلم کو وہ زندہ تمنا دے جو قلب کو گرما دے، جو روح کو درپا دے، یا رب دل مسلم کو وہ زندہ تمنا دے، پھر وادی فارا کے ہر ذرے کو چمکا دے، پھر وادی فارا کے ہر ذرے کو چمکا دے، پھر شوق تماشا دے، پھر ذوق تقاضا دے، یا رب دل مسلم کو وہ زندہ تمنا دے، محروم تماشا کو پھر دیدائے بینا دے، محروم تماشا کو پھر دیدائے بینا دے، دیکھا ہے جو کچھ میں نے اوروں کو بھی دکھلا دے، یا رب دل مسلم کو وہ زندہ تمنا دے، اس دور کی ظلمت میں ہر قلب پریشاں کو، اس دور کی ظلمت میں ہر قلب پریشاں کو وہ داغ محبت دے جو چاند کو شرما دے، یا رب دل مسلم کو وہ زندہ تمنا دے، بے لطف محبت ہو، بے باک صداقت ہو، بے لطف محبت ہو، بے باک صداقت ہو، سینوں میں اجالا کر دل صورت بینا دے، یا رب دل مسلم کو وہ زندہ تمنا دے، جو قلب کو گرما دے، جو روح کو درپا دے، اللہم لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک ان الحمد والنعمة لک والملک، اللہم لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک ان الحمد والنعمة لك والملك، لبسنا إحرامنا خلعنا ثامنا، تركنا مقامنا لبيت الحرام، رأينا الكعبة شعرنا الهيبة، سجدنا الجبهة وطلعنا الدمعة، اللهم لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك اللهم لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك طلبنا من الله غفران الذنوب وجدنا الإجابة على بتنا بالمختلفة والناس جميعا أخذنا المعونة في ظلمات الليل اللهم لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك رحلنا من الكعبة إلى كعبة الكعبة غلبنا المحابة وصلنا مدينة منورة بلدة معطرة فيها أدب الزهراء حبيب الرسول مدينة منورة بلدة فيها أدب الزهراء حبيب الرسول اللهم لا شريك لك إن الحمد جئنا من بعيد بذنب كثير تشفع لنا يوما رجعت إلى أهلي بالبركات سلام عليكم أمتي رسول رجعت إلى أهلي بالبركات سلام عليكم لا شريك يا حبيبي
done excellent work in the Muslim world, in any Muslim world and in this country as well.
اللهم صل وسلم على شمس الضحى بدر الدجى. اللهم صل وسلم على شمس الضحى بدر الدجى وعلى آله الطاهرين كما صحبه وسائر الأنبياء يا سيدي نعمة لا تمين سلام عليك يا رحيما أمين سلام عليك يا رحيما أمين سلام على رؤوف رحيم سلام على رؤوف رحيم سلام على رؤوف رحيم سلام على
I'll read now tonight.
رحيم.
This is the previous one.
But did you get the copy of the speech?
Yes, it's with me, but I couldn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Rifat Yusuf, and it's my pleasure and my privilege to welcome everybody to the Muslim News Awards for Excellence 2004. We'll begin the ceremony shortly by welcoming tonight's guest of honour, who is Ibrahim Rasool, the Finance Minister for Western Cape Province in South Africa. At the same time, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to His Royal Highness Prince Turki Al Faisal, the Saudi Ambassador. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Ibrahim Rasool, the Finance Minister of Western Cape Province in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome all to the Muslim News Awards for Excellence 2004. 15 awards for excellence will be presented tonight. We start with a reading of Quran by Abbas Bandali and a translation in English by Zainab Versi.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم ولا نساء من نساء عسى أن يكن خيرا منهم ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب بئس الاسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان ومن لم يتب فأولئك هم الظالمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعض الظن إثم ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا أيحب أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه واتقوا الله إن الله تواب رحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير صدق الله العلي العظيم.
A pivotal part of Islam is harmony. Indeed, Islam comes from the root word salama, meaning peace. It criticizes backbiting and encourages us to live together amicably. Islam emphasizes that no one is superior to the other. We all came from the same ancestry. This is aptly reflected in the verses that we have just heard from Surah Al-Hujurat, the Chambers, chapter 49, verses 11 to 13. O you who believe, let not one people scoff at another people. It may be that the latter are better than the former. Nor let some women scoff at other women. It may be that the latter are better than the former. And do not slander one another, nor revile one another with nicknames. How bad it is to insult one's brother after having faith. And whoever does not repent against such conduct, then they are who are the unjust. O you who believe, avoid much suspicion. Indeed, suspicion in some cases is a sin. And spy not, nor backbite one another. Would any of you relish to eat the flesh of his dead brother? No, you would detest that. So fear God, for God is truly absolving, most merciful. O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes, that you may recognize each other. Verily, the most noble of you with God is he who is most pious. Indeed, God is all-knowing, all aware.
Does anybody know what Pencak Silat is? Apart from the Indonesians here. Pencak Silat. Don't order it in an Indonesian restaurant unless you know how to handle a machete, because it is the indigenous martial art of the Indonesian Malay archipelago. There are many forms of it, and tonight we have two artistic demonstrations of this traditional art. Our first performance is by Hannah Al-Rashid. In November last year, she became the first British Muslim to win a gold medal in the women's solo artistic performance at the European Penchat Silat Championships held in Hamburg, and she'll be demonstrating the performance that earned her a gold. Following on, we have a display from Indonesia performed by Sean Kardar and Irfan Al-Rashid. Sean won the UK's first gold medal in the men's sports category at the Belgian Open Championships in April 2003, and Irfan won the silver medal in the men's single artistic category at the European Championships held in Hamburg in November 2003. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hannah Al-Rashid. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to the stage your host, the editor of the Muslim News, Ahmed Versi.
His Eminence Ibrahim Rasool, Minister of Finance from Cape Province, South Africa, His Royal Highness Prince Tawqi Al-Faisal from Saudi Arabia, my lords, ladies, friends and colleagues and ambassadors, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. Thank you all for attending the Muslim News Awards for Excellence this evening. I would like to extend an especially big welcome to those who have been nominated for tonight's award, and to those of our loyal readers who took the time and trouble to nominate men, women and children of excellence. These 4th awards celebrate Muslim and non-Muslim contribution to the society in which we live, and they recognize excellence and achievement within the Muslim community itself. We strive to identify achievers and success stories. Our hope is that this will go some small way in finding and promoting those much needed positive role models for the next generation and for those that will follow. When the Muslim News team began planning for these awards about a year ago, we were unsure about the response to our call for nominations. But as in previous years, we were humbled by the quality and the quantity of the entries for each category. Indeed, this year has set a new record for the number of nominations received. This tells us 2 things. First, despite everything, Britain's Muslims, like those everywhere, have an ability to excel even in the most trying of circumstances. Second, that we will always reach for the highest standards when contributing to the society that is our home. This is an unshakable fact of life that should never, ever be in doubt. The Muslim News Awards for Excellence have demonstrated once more that both Muslims and non-Muslims can achieve the highest standards when working together as partners for the common good of humankind. This year's nominees show that the ability to work with people of different beliefs and points of view is a huge strength and a valuable asset. It improves quality, and it helps to build strong friendships, unbreakable bonds of trust, and lifelong partnerships. This is a model of working that is in desperate need of replication, and we hope that tonight's winners will be seen in the light of these qualities, not just in Britain, but across our much troubled world. I'm deeply grateful to Ibrahim Rasool for coming from South Africa to join us tonight. He is an eminent example of the role model I described earlier. His contribution to the anti-apartheid struggle is well known. Ibrahim was one of the founder members of an organization called Call of Islam, which mobilized all South Africans to rally against the apartheid regime. He was arrested several times. Typically for Ibrahim, he describes his experiences as excellent for character building. He was not alone. All over South Africa, Muslims took an active part in anti-apartheid movement, and many gave the ultimate sacrifice. Amongst those were Imam Abdullah Haroon, Ahmad Timol, and Babla Saluji, who shared the cell of Nelson Mandela. Some of you will know that I still practice as a pharmacist. We chemists are always trying to improve our maths, so forgive me if I inject some numeracy this evening. South Africa's Muslims constitute just 2% of the population. In South Africa's first ever democratic elections in 1994, 23 Muslims were elected to 400-member National Assembly. A further 17 were elected to the provincial parliaments. 5 were named in the 90-member second chamber, the Senate. And 4 joined the government, 2 as ministers and 2 as deputy ministers. It is worth contrasting this with our own situation here. In Britain, Muslims constitute 3% of the population. Now let us see how this is reflected in the parliament here and other positions of power. There are only 2 Muslims in the House of Commons, 4 in the House of Lords, and 1 in the European Parliament. There are no Muslims in the Scottish Parliament, nor in the Welsh Assembly, or in the Greater London Assembly. It is fair to say that even this modest progress would not have been possible without the election of a Labour government in 1997. But as you can see, we still have a long way to go before more members of our community are selected in winnable seats. Despite the community's major difficulties with government policy over Iraq, Palestine, and with the war on terror, most Muslims would still regard the current government as an improvement on the previous one. Way back in 1989, when few could foresee a day when Labour would have the keys to Downing Street, shadow ministers were busy with unpopular causes. The Labour Party defended state funding for Muslim schools against those who said they would polarize faith communities and were anti-women. Now in government, Labour has kept its promise for Muslim schools to be treated no differently to other faith schools. In 1980s and the early 90s, there were stiff resistance in Whitehall and elsewhere to a reality of Muslim identity in Britain. Much of Whitehall has changed now, thanks to a large extent to the pioneering efforts of this current government. However, thanks to recent policies, the trust developed over the years between Britain's Muslims and the current government is now seriously under threat. The activities of those who commit acts of terrorism is an issue that is real. It is immediate and it affects Muslims as much as members of the international community. There can never be any excuse for committing genocide in the name of any religion or no religion. History is full of individuals, organizations, and countries that have sought to impose their will on others by force. Such people have failed wherever leaders stood steadfast, acted with courage, and maintained the highest standards of justice. But these cowards have unfortunately succeeded whenever those in power have responded by squeezing rights and restricting liberties, the sort of outcome that terrorist organizations wish for. To my colleagues in government, I said this: it is never too late to learn from history, nor is it a sign of weakness to think again. We hope that you will enjoy the evening and see a side to British Islam that few outside our community get a chance to see. My congratulations to all of those who will win tonight. You have an important role to play. My sincere commiserations to the many excellent nominations who couldn't make it. You are no less excellent and have an equally important function. I would just like to extend a warm welcome to Faiza Hashimi, who has made the journey from Iran for a 4th consecutive time. I would also like to thank Chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee in the Nigerian Federal House of Representatives, Usman Bugaje, who has specially flown in for this event to be present with us tonight. Unfortunately, 3 of our guests are not able to join us. Foreign Secretary Jack Straw is held up in the House. Minister at the Presidency of South Africa, His Excellency Essop Pahad, was not able to come due to an emergency cabinet meeting being held today. And Abdullah Ibrahim has unfortunately been taken ill. And now I would like to invite His Eminence, Minister Ibrahim Rasool, onto the stage.
My respected hosts, Ahmed Versi, and the members and staff of Muslim News, leaders of British societies, leaders of the Muslim community, my brother from Nigeria, Usman Bugaji, members of the diplomatic corps, my respected brothers and sisters, respected ulama, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening. It is for me a great pleasure to participate here tonight in this prestigious occasion, and even more so because I do so on behalf of the South African Presidency. As you have heard, Dr. Essop Pahad, Minister in the Office of the President, would have been here, except that there's an emergency cabinet meeting that keeps him away from us. I recited the verse from the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءُ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. That in the revelation of the Quran there is for those who believe both a shifa, a healing, and a rahmah, a mercy. I think what brings us together here tonight is the very urgent search, not for Muslims only, but for the entire world, for that healing and for that mercy. It is in that spirit that I come here as a guest of Muslim News, a newspaper that even in South Africa we are aware of because of the important role it plays. Our presence here tonight is in recognition of the need in the world to convey sound information, sound comment, and sound news about Muslims in a world in which this Muslim community is more the object of discussion than the purveyors of their own identity, in a world in which the mosaic of Muslim life requires effective articulation, in a world in which the environment is shaped by the tyranny of the soundbite, the convenience of the stereotype, and the sensation of the most extreme representations that create the dominant impression of an entire faith and all its adherents. The challenge, therefore, to a medium like Muslim News is not only to assist casual readers of news to navigate this complexity of representations by those outside of the community of Muslims and to be a counterbalance to the skewed representations. That's not the only challenge that Muslim News faces. The more important challenge for a medium like Muslim News and all other mediums and within the Muslim community is to structure an internal debate among competing, even contradictory understandings and portrayals of Islam by those who follow it, and to fashion the greatest possible consensus that accords with the historical spirit, the objectives, and the intentions of our faith. These have to constitute the very basis on which we think our way through the challenges and the uncertainties of the 21st century. What we need greater consensus on and greater external representation of are indeed the matters which go to the very essence and the heart of life for Muslims in this world today. The first such issue is the need for all of us as Muslims to be comfortable with many identities simultaneously, but all of those identities consistent with the very best ethos of Islam. 10 years ago, when South Africa was freed, we sought to create a project for Muslims in which Muslims were comfortable primarily as Muslims, but could be comfortable also with the identity of being South African, could be comfortable with the many identities, with the ethnic backgrounds from which we come, such as Malays, such as Indians, such as Africans, and whatever other ethnic background we come, that we were also proud to be local Cape Townians or Durbanites or Joburgers, but that we were able to carry all of those identities simultaneously without ever going into the twilight existence of a hamlet, never knowing what to do, whether to do things, whether to be comfortable, and whether to live comfortably as Muslims within a country like South Africa. 5 years ago, we sought to be a model for Muslim minorities in the face of majorities. We have seen and we have learned a lot from a similar experiment in Britain, where a Muslim minority was also trying to come to grips with that same thing. They were, of course, not helped, because they did not have the kind of anti-apartheid cause that unites people irrespective of whether they like it or not. They had a greater task to unite. And so it was easier for Muslims to become South African than I suspect it may have been for Muslims in Britain to become British. Hopefully that is a project that is beginning to work. But if 5 years ago, we were seeking to live a life as minorities within the face of majorities, I believe that now, 10 years later, we think that it may be important for a Muslim community in South Africa and a Muslim community in Britain not to live and to be an example as a minority, but to begin to show what it means to simply be Muslims in the world today, whether we are minorities or whether we are majorities. We all seem to be, as a global community, in the same kind of trouble, facing the same kind of challenges, and needing the same kind of advice in order to go forward. It simply is the challenge of how Muslims coexist in a globalizing world. And so, our experiment is not only for ourselves, it is for the global ummah as well. The second matter around which we need to fashion a consensus is to shift from an overweening desire by Muslims for Islam to be realized in the form of a political state with national boundaries, and to shift from that perception and conception of Islam to a conception of Islam that sees Islam as a civilization among other civilizations, not fettered by boundaries, not drawn down by political imperatives, not constantly fighting for territorial and political domination, but simply becoming a civilization based on an ethos, based on the maqasid of the Sharia, the intentions of the Sharia, and based on the spirit of generosity that is germane to Islam. And the key shift in that is to move away from either trying to dominate others or to be dominated by others, to move away from the coldness of tolerance of the other or the tolerance of Islam by others, and to move to a sense of mutual dependence, mutual respect, and mutual acceptance of each other, warts and all. And this needs reciprocity. It's always difficult for someone to take the first step. In South Africa, we had the generosity of a Nelson Mandela. Not the famous generosity only towards those who imprisoned him, but an especial generosity for those who were weak by virtue of number. And to reach out to them and to say to them, South Africa too is your country. Whether you are 2% of the population, your religion has equal status with the Christian religion, which has 85% of the population. It is not the numbers that count. It is the status of your religion in history, the role that you have played in the anti-apartheid struggle, and the important ethos that you give to the world as a civilization. It was very easy. Someone took the first step. It was Nelson Mandela who took the first step, and the Muslim community reciprocated. It's that generosity of spirit, that ability to create space for each other, that ability to understand the difficulty that each one has in order to deal with their adherence, that ability to allow even a moderate Muslim leadership to occupy the radical space in order to rein in those who seek easy solutions and extreme solutions to complex problems. And those are the kind of ways in which we have to reciprocate and to move towards establishing Islam as a civilization rather than the obsession with Islam as a political entity. The third key area of consensus that we require is the ability for Muslims to decrease the domain of hostility for Muslims and to increase the domain of peace and security for Muslims wherever they live. And sometimes there are easy steps to take in that direction. It's how we articulate our faith. And sometimes there are difficult steps to be taken. And I was very surprised when I came from the airport this morning. I must add, pleasantly surprised. And I want to congratulate the British Muslim Council. It must be the most rapid and the most decisive decision that they've made in the face of the events of the last 24 hours or 48 hours. To be able to say, that is not us. We are not defined by what a few are doing. We are vulnerable because there are events in the world which even capture the imagination of youngsters amongst us. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Ibrahim Rasool will be presenting the Sankore University Award for Excellence in Education. This year it's a joint award, so there will be two winners. Sankore University in the fabled city of Timbuktu in Mali was, in the Middle Ages, the leading centre of education in the Muslim world, and therefore arguably in the whole world. Its graduates went on to take up professorships in Fez and Al-Azhar. It was not uncommon for students to spend up to 10 years studying subjects ranging from Quran to business and ethics, and from navigation to shoemaking. Students from Sankore could not graduate until they had demonstrated excellence of character, excellence in Islamic values, and fittingly for this award, excellence in education. And so, Mr. Rasool, if you would please announce the first winner for this award.
The winner of the Muslim News Sankore University Award for Excellence in Education is Amina Al-Yassin.
Amina Al-Yassin arrived from Lebanon as a young child, unable to speak English. She now combines academic excellence. Her GCSE biology result was one of the 5 highest in the country, with a strong commitment to her community in Brent, North London. She has taught Arabic and Islamic studies to children locally and is a highly dedicated fundraiser and charity volunteer. In 2003, she was named Outstanding Student of the Year by EdExcel, also winning their Young Learners Award.
Firstly, I'd like to thank the Muslim News for giving me this award. It's really an honour. And I'd like to dedicate this award to all my Muslim sisters in France, which are going through a very trying time at the moment. And we are lucky to be living in a country where we can progress in our education. We are lucky to have a government which appreciates different religions and cultures. And I'd love to just spread this message to all the countries of the world that if you really want people to tolerate each other, the most important thing is to educate them and remove the ignorance that prevails in society. Thank you.
And Ibrahim Rasool will be now presenting the second winner, the joint winner of this award.
The second winner for the same award, the Sankore University Award for Excellence in Education, is St. Mary the Virgin Primary School.
St Mary the Virgin Primary School in Bootstown, Cardiff, promotes religious and cultural tolerance and celebrates its diversity. Many pupils hail from Somalia and the Yemen, and almost half are Muslim. With help from BBC Wales and local businesses, the children created an Islamic garden in the school grounds. The garden is proving highly popular, and an Islamic mosaic and 5 trees representing the 5 pillars of wisdom has become a contemplative space for learning about Islam.
Good evening. On behalf of all the staff and the pupils at my school back in Cardiff, I feel very humbled tonight, but I also feel very privileged to follow Amina's award and hope that our small school in Cardiff, in what was known as the Tiger Bear area, so if I mention Shirley Bassey, you know which area I mean, now renamed the Cardiff Bay with lots of money going into many of the areas, but sadly not into our school, which is a small community still for many socially deprived children. 2 years ago, when we decided to try and raise funding for this project, the idea was a wasteland between the junior yard and the infant yard would become a nice play area. Last October, when we found the funding and it was opened, we felt that we had succeeded, and we now have a decked area with mosaics and trees, all that's been explained for all our children, our Muslim community and our Christian children, to relax and play in. To be here tonight is very humbling and an extra special award. Thank you all very much.
As you know, the awards this evening fall into 15 categories. Each of those categories has several contenders chosen from all the nominations sent in by the readers of the Muslim News. An independent panel of judges considers each nomination and draws a shortlist for each award for excellence. From that shortlist, of course, comes a winner. And as I've not been shortlisted for anything, I haven't even been nominated, thank you very much. It's not for me to explain more. Instead, I'll welcome to the stage Rashid Masoudi, Chair of the Independent Panel of Judges.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Dear brothers, dear sisters, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening to you. I am Rashid Masoudi, and I had the privilege to be elected chairman of the panel of judges in this year's Muslim News Award for Excellence. In this capacity, I have the honor to say a few words about the selection process we carried out for the nomination of candidates for the various prizes. This year's Muslim News Award includes 14 prizes rewarding excellence in 14 categories of activity, plus a special prize, special award, that of the judges. For these 15 prizes, we received 140 nominations. In our first meeting, the judges got acquainted with each other, were briefed about the procedure established for the nominations, and off we went back home, each of us with 140 nomination forms. The task of each judge was to read all the nominations and shortlist 3 candidates for the award in each of the 14 categories. As each judge shortlisted candidates of his or her own choice, we ended up with a number of nominations ranging between 4 and 16 according to the category. In our second meeting, we had, on the one hand, to vote for the top 3 nominees in each category by awarding points for the candidates, and on the other hand, to calculate the number of points each of the 3 candidates scored in order to decide about the winner, the second, and the third candidates. As you can imagine, the process of selection was not easy. The description of the nominees' achievements was quite varied. Some nominators had good presentation skills and, as it were, tried to sell their nominee very well. But other nominators did not have those selling skills, and this is why, first individually, then collectively, the judges summoned all their knowledge and wisdom to read between the lines and arrive at the very best judgments. In our decisive meeting, the debate was tight and was characterized by the need to convince, not to persuade. Needless to say that many of those left out can be in good position for next year's award, inshallah. And we did ask the Muslim News management to keep their files. Last but not least, as Muslims, all the judges were first and foremost responsible before God Almighty when they carried out the selection the process. Therefore, our decisions were made on the basis of our collective judgment alone. And in all fairness, far from any external interference in our proceedings. I would like to finish with to congratulate all the nominees and my commiserations for the others whom I hope will get the award inshallah next year. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We go on now with this evening's second award, which is, of course, the Aliya Izzat Begovic Award for Good Citizenship. This award was named after a great statesman and a great leader who died in October last year. Aliya Izzat Begovic showed the world that with faith, it is possible to survive in times of crisis without losing sight of one's goals. Up until the collapse of the federal system in Yugoslavia in 1990, Aliya Izzat Begovic, like many others, strove to practice Islam under a communist dictatorship. But censorship and prison was nothing compared to what was to come in Bosnia-Herzegovina. Aliya Izzat Begovic pulled his people out of a hell that we cannot imagine. He inspired his people through personal example and sacrifice to remain resolute in faith when they had lost everything but hope. This award is sponsored by the Metropolitan Police. To present it, please welcome Sir John Stevens, Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police.
The Metropolitan Police is proud to be associated with the Muslim News Awards, and I'm particularly pleased to be presenting this award for good citizenship. Now, much of the headline news this week has inevitably centered once again on the threat posed by international terrorism. And, as you will only be too well aware, there are those who would seek to link the actions of extremists with the faith of the Muslim community. Well, they are wrong. Those who attempt to make such a connection are portraying Islam in a way I simply do not recognize. I have always associated Islam with the characteristics of truth, honesty, peace, and compassion. Qualities that we would all recognize, and I'm sure that we would all want to aspire to, especially as police officers. And those are precisely the qualities that I most admire in Britain's Muslim community, and that are celebrated here this evening. Perhaps I might reiterate a message that was emphasized following yesterday's police operation. The overwhelming majority of Muslims in this country are peace-loving, law-abiding people who completely reject all forms of violence. And the Metropolitan Police is wholeheartedly committed to the safety of every single community here in London. Of course, we rely on you to support anything you see or hear or that you might feel is suspicious. But equally, we want you to tell us about any instances of Islamophobia, any prejudice directed at you or at members of your communities. And my desire is that we continue investing in the great many positive relationships that exist between the police service and the Muslim community. The need for us to be working together is now more evident than ever before. There are a number of individuals and organizations, the Muslim Safety Forum being an excellent example, who have consistently given a great deal of their time and effort to work in partnership with the police. And can I give here tonight my recognition and sincere thanks to all the work that they do. Well, now returning to this evening's ceremony, can I reiterate just how pleased I am to be taking part in this celebration of all that is best in the Muslim community. It is therefore with great pleasure that I am now able to announce the winner of the Good Citizenship Award. And the winner is Fadi Itani.
For years, this charity, which provides services such as business enterprise support to the Muslim community, was foundering. Now, under Fadi's holistic and coordinated management, the MWH has ample grant aid, strong links with local authorities, church leaders, and the police, and a positive role to play in the wider community. Fadi has also done much to diffuse strained community relations in Finsbury Park.
Finsbury Park has been very famous, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons. Media from all over the world, they were very interested in Finsbury Park. But unfortunately, they were interested in the wrong elements to cover the bad news. We only 300 yards from Finsbury Park Mosque, the very famous mosque. And we were unable to convince local or national and international media to show the good work that the community is doing. It just shows that tourism can be in different kind of and forms. Individuals, organizations, state, even the media, sometimes they can terrorize people when they only put out the bad news, when they try to break the relations which we've been working on for years and years.
The Anne-Marie Schimmel Award for championing a Muslim cause is our third award. Sadly, the distinguished academic after whom the award is named died last January. Anne-Marie Schimmel was an authority on Islamic history and literature. She rose to prominence in 1989 during the Rushdie affair for her highly cogent, well-articulated defense of Muslims outraged at Rushdie's novel. When she took her stance, she risked her reputation, but defending the dignity of others earned her even greater respect. We welcome to present this award Usman Bugaje, Chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Nigeria's Federal House of Representatives.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, thank you very much for this opportunity. And just before I read the name of the winner of this award, I would like to say how delighted I am to be here with you. This is not the first time I've been here. I've been part of this award, and I feel this is a very important event. In these days, the kind of times we're going through, these kind of events are very refreshing, very encouraging, and I believe these are the kind of events that will help us surmount the tremendous amount of communication problems that we are facing today. I don't know if I can share with you very quickly my own appreciation of the problems the globe is facing. It's basically one of communication. We are talking to each other, but it appears that we're not communicating. And I have an incident told to me by a friend. I have not found a better example of what problems of communication we can face. A story is told of an advertising firm that was selling, or that was hired to advertise for a washing powder. And you know the standard adverts. You have dirty cloth on your right. You have them immersed in the washing powder, and they come out on the third picture on the extreme left, sparkling, clean. This was in an Arab world. The advert was placed, and the product was not moving. And an expert has to be brought in to find out why, despite the advert. The expert immediately realized those who did the advert forgot that the Arabs start writing from the left. And so what they see is sparkling cloth put in some kind of washing powder. They come out very dirty on the other side. Who on earth will buy this washing powder? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Muslim News Honorary Award for Excellence in Championing Muslim Cause is Gareth Pierce.
Gareth Pierce was well known for successfully representing the Guildford Four and is one of the most respected civil liberty lawyers in Britain. Gareth's efforts to ensure justice for the Muslim community are unrelenting. She has taken on scores of cases involving Muslims detained as alleged terrorists, and her work on behalf of Guantanamo Bay detainee Muazzam Beg and numerous US extradition cases has been inspirational. She lives in London.
In my office each day, we take all the daily newspapers, English daily newspapers, and we clip those news articles which may affect the Muslim defendant facing trial, such as may impact upon a jury's decision as to whether he or she is guilty. And we've been doing this for a year and a half. And the pile now is up to the ceiling of the library in our office. I represent a number of Muslim detainees in this country, defendants facing trial. And we've had grim times in this country of suspect communities, in particular the Irish community. But I have never known such venom and such hatred and such constant, unchecked, fascistic expression of daily, appalling, often fabricated, always imagined, always exaggerated verbiage as there is now against the Muslim community. We have lost our way in this country. We have entered a new dark age of injustice. And it is frightening. We are overwhelmed by it. I know that I am representing innocent people, truly innocent people, who know that any jury they face will in advance be predisposed, whatever the evidence, to find them guilty. And I know that the evidence, if it's inadequate, if it's feeble, if it doesn't amount to proof beyond reasonable doubt, that doesn't matter, because it's supplemented by what the jury will bring to the trial of its knowledge acquired from newspapers. But we have laws in this country that are meant to protect against this. We have a Contempt of Court Act, which ensures from the moment of arrest nothing is to be said that could affect the decision of a jury. How is it that everybody in this room knows in detail, or thinks they know about what is alleged against people arrested yesterday? What are the police doing, making announcements that allow potential jurors to speculate? What are the press doing that they speculate? What is the Attorney General doing that he doesn't intervene with his powers to prosecute for contempt of court? We have entirely lost our way. And it's all very well to indict America about its detention of detainees in Guantanamo Bay. But we were there. The young men I represent who've come back have explained to me in detail how it wasn't just the Americans interrogating them in wholly unlawful, oppressive, torturous conditions. The agents, intelligence agents from this country were doing the same. And we have a number of individuals locked up, interned without trial here, indefinitely for the rest of their lives. We're destroying them mentally, and their wives who've been widowed effectively, and their children who've been orphaned effectively. And we've done all that in this democratic country. So I simply would say, don't allow this country to condemn the Muslim community, but equally don't condemn members of that community either, who you don't know. Don't assume that people who are detained are guilty. Don't assume that people who are called extremists or fundamentalists, people who have committed any crime. I've had the privilege of a learning experience, which is a great privilege. And if I have any testimony to give, it is that I am completely and absolutely confident that the jails in this country have many, many, many individuals who are completely innocent. And it is a cause of great concern. It is, in effect, an emergency situation that those people may not emerge. I'm absolutely sure that lawyers should not be given awards. They are simply there because of others' misfortunes. I was concerned that it was wrong to come here, but if it is an opportunity to say something for people who have no opportunity themselves to say so, could I say, please help us to spread the word in this country, to relearn the lessons of the past. We have a rich history in injustice in this country, and now we have torn up all the lessons of the past, and we're compelling a new community to endure what other communities finally came through. So, on behalf of many people wrongly in prison, please don't let them be forgotten.
Tonight, our fourth award is a new award, in fact, and it is the Ibn Khaldun Award for Excellence in Promoting Understanding Between Global Faiths and Cultures. Ibn Khaldun was born in 1332 in Tunisia. He has been described as the father of social science. He made his mark with Muqaddimah. It's an introduction, a whole volume's worth of an introduction to a multi-volume work on the history of North Africa, the Berbers, and a lot more besides. Writing aside, he was also a diplomat. As an ambassador of the Sultan of Granada, negotiating a peace treaty with Pedro the Cruel of Castile, Ibn Khaldun was well placed to take on board the religious sentiment being expressed by the Christian hierarchy and to represent the views and responsibilities of Muslims in southern Spain. His quest for peace and understanding between different cultures was clearly successful. in 1400. He was an honoured guest of a ruler not normally associated with peace missions and the like, the Mongol conqueror Tamerlane. Unfortunately, as this award is sponsored by the Foreign Office, but unfortunately the Foreign Secretary is not here to present it. However, we do have a video message from him.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I'm really sorry that I could not be with you in person this evening for the award ceremony, but I have to be in the House of Commons for some crucial votes. But I'm delighted that the Foreign Office is one of the sponsors of this year's Muslim News Awards for Excellence. The awards give valuable recognition to those who win them, and they help to highlight the vitality and the achievement to be found within our Muslim communities. The winners can serve as role models for Muslims and for us all. So let me first congratulate Ahmed Versi and his dedicated team of volunteers for their efforts in organising the awards. I'm also very pleased that the Foreign and Commonwealth Office is sponsoring the new Ibn Khaldun Award for Excellence in promoting understanding between global cultures and faiths. That reflects our own commitment to helping to build understanding and tolerance, and to breaking down the negative stereotypes of other faiths and traditions to which some, regrettably, still cling. This award is also, for me, another reflection of our wish to build an ever closer relationship with British Muslims and with Muslims around the globe. And this approach is reflected in the many partnerships which the Foreign Office has built with the British Muslim community. As many of you I know will be aware, every year we send a delegation to the holy places to offer support, medical help and consular assistance to the more than 20,000 British Muslims who each year go there to perform their Hajj. And we're the only Western government to provide this service. I'm also very proud of the work which we do with many Muslim organisations and communities around Britain to ensure that the voices of British Muslims are heard at all levels. And I'm honoured myself to represent in our Parliament those 25,000 Muslims who have made their home in my constituency of Blackburn. Now, it's more important than ever before that we in government build such a close relationship and dialogue with Muslim communities. At this time especially, we have to emphasise both the richness of our shared history and the outstanding contribution which Muslims make to all walks of life in Britain today. That message of celebrating and valuing our diversity would, I suggest, have been one which the great Ibn Khaldun would himself have recognised. His writings, inspired in turn by the great Islamic civilization in which he lived, and by the vibrant mix of peoples and cultures which that civilization embraced, have much to teach us today, even 6 centuries after his death. So it's most appropriate that his name has been chosen for this new award. The winner will be revealed shortly, but I'm sure that you will agree that the recipient richly deserves this recognition. So let me offer my warmest congratulations to all those who are to win awards tonight. And let me wish you all an enjoyable and very interesting evening. Thank you very much.
Well, in order to present this award, we obviously need somebody here, and who better than Iqbal Sakrani, who is the General Secretary of the Muslim Council of Britain.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmadu wa nasalli ala Rasulil Kareem. Our distinguished guest, Mr. Ibrahim Rasool, Your Excellencies, colleagues and friends, Assalamu alaikum. I'm afraid you have to do with a lesser prominent individual like Jack Straw, who has put me in this position to, I think, say a few words on this rather a very important occasion. First of all, I think, if I may convey our appreciation to Jack Straw for giving such a powerful message to the community at large in terms of the contribution of the Muslim community in the UK, and our presence this evening basically acknowledging that very important fact. But at the same time, the work carried out by the Foreign Office in many areas, whether it's the Hajj delegation, whether it's a matter of sponsoring a number of important events taking place, raising the profile of the community in terms of its interaction with the Muslim world. These are areas of good work which is being carried out, and I'm sure this needs to be replicated by other government departments as well. Friends, this is an occasion which I think is quite important for the Muslim community. It's an important calendar date that we acknowledge immensely, particularly in the time of these negativities that we come across day in, day out. Hardly a day goes by when somehow, from somewhere in the media, the community at large is being denigrated, whether it's been called Islamic terrorists, Islamic extremists, or Islamic fanatics. The issue of terminology has been of a concern to the community for quite some time. And at some stage, we thought that we are progressing. There was a lesser use of this demeaning language. But with this new war of terror that we are now facing, the use of those terms have sadly become a bit more common. It is here that I need to appreciate the role of Muslim News as one of the leading Muslim newspapers in the country, who have been extremely positive, constructive in terms of recognizing the wonderful work that is taking place in the community, but at the same time highlighting the deficiencies in areas of work that needs to be done. But it is our mainstream media that is a very real problem. And perhaps today, if I may use the occasion, as I'm sure we have representatives of our key media organizations and institutions present, that, as mentioned by Sir John Stevens early on, that we are aware of the atrocities that we face worldwide. Just because the person who commits the atrocity or the organization that claims to be responsible for the barbaric acts happen to be a Muslim, there are other equally terrorist individuals, criminal individuals, who do carry out similar acts from other faiths. When do we ever hear of that term applied relating to the faith, when we identify that criminal as an Islamic terrorist? It is sadly an exception that it is the Muslim community, the great religion of humanity, Islam, that confronts this negativity, the demonization of the entire community. Don't we realize that by denigrating the entire community, the message that is coming out from your paper is certainly not helping the community who have been put into such immense pressure through their families, through children in schools and other places, but the paper yourself is being identified in terms of great negativity on the part of the Muslim community as to what is the motive of such important papers in the mainstream. So I urge you to please refrain from using such damaging language. It does not help anybody in the community. It gives you an impression that perhaps your ideas, your views on the community are pre-manned, and that needs to be changed. But today we also delivered a very important message to our community. It's been a very difficult day for some of us. The message that has come out was not unprecedented, as has been claimed in the media, that for the first time we have conveyed a message to the imams and the mosque, the chairmen and secretaries of the mosque, to remind them of the Islamic duty, to ensure that that message needs to be conveyed to the congregation on Fridays and all other times. Similar messages have been passed in the difficult periods that we have faced. At the time of the war, during the time of the war on Afghanistan, the war on Iraq, there was tremendous concern in the community. How are we going to deal with it? We exercised our duty as a responsible organization to the responsible community that there is no harm in reminding of our duty, that we have a duty to convey towards good, to prevent harm. There's a clear message that comes from the Holy Quran. Time and again we need to remind the larger community that the Quran is very specific, very clear when it deals with the message of death of any innocent person. As I'm sure my learned scholars will witness this, the statement, the saying in the Holy Quran, which has been very clear. A murder of one individual tantamounts to a murder of entire humanity. How much more powerful statement you can get from the religion of Islam. We can see from how our Prophet, peace be upon him, conducted his life in terms of interaction with the larger community. There were difficult periods he faced, but he gave a clear example of how we should conduct our lives. So those elements in the community, as I call them mischievous, the fringe, the loonies, they are prevalent in every community. We are not spared with it, but why should they be given the voice in terms of the mainstream community and as though they are conveying the message of Islam? Because it is this message that causes us immense damage. I hope and pray that the message that has gone out will be taken in that spirit of having a clear guideline, of Islamic guideline to our community, reminding us of our responsibilities to our youth, that God forbid, if they are aware of any such sinister activity taking place, it's our responsibility to aid to prevent it if we can, if not, to convey this message to our authorities, so that these elements can be apprehended in the interest of all of us. And I'm confident that the community is taking this message extremely seriously. It is a matter of time that this collective responsibility by the government, by the community, and by the media has to be displayed into the open. And where there are lacunas in law that causes us harm in the society, a clear example of incitement to religious hatred, where we are still struggling to get that support from the government to ensure that our community, the faith communities, should be protected against incitement, should be enacted. There is a greater need to ensure that the religious discrimination law that has gone somewhere in giving protection as far as employment is concerned should be extended to the full, so that the community feels that they are duly recognized as part and parcel of the community. My respected guests, I have taken a bit more time than I had intended to, but I felt that the message that had to be conveyed was quite important and very appropriate at such an important event. The winner of the Muslim News Ibn Khaldun Award for excellence in promoting understanding between global cultures and faith is no other than a great personality, Dr. Hani Al-Banna.
Hani Al-Banna is one of Britain's most experienced professionals in international development and a leading light in the drive to create a greater understanding between Christians, Jews, and Muslims. Head of the charity Islamic Relief, he is also a member of the Three Faiths Forum and speaks and broadcasts on faith and development in Britain and abroad. Hani has recently addressed the House of Commons on humanitarian aid and the Foreign and Commonwealth Office on open dialogue as part of tolerant foreign policy. He is also actively involved in the peace process in war-torn South Sudan.
I thank Muslim News Award and my friend, what is it? My old friend, my new friend.
Ahmed Varsi.
Ahmed Varsi. I'm Hani Varsi. This is my new name. Thank everybody. Actually, to be very honest, it is not me who should deserve the award. It is the poor man and poor woman and the little orphan who has no father or mother who made me to stand before you here. So the people who deserve to have this award are the widows and the orphans and the lonely ones and the homeless and the sick and the elderly. So may God help all of them and give them a better life. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum.
It's on now to the fifth award sponsored by the Home Office, which is the Uthman Dan Fodio Award for Excellence in Community Development. Uthman Dan Fodio was the leader of the Sokoto Caliphate in northern Nigeria in the early 1800s. This vast empire was quite naturally made up of extremely diverse Muslim communities in terms of languages, traditions, and histories. But two things were constant. One being the very harsh treatment of women and their exclusion from education. What else is new? And the second being a staggering general rate of illiteracy. Uthman Dan Fodio implemented an innovative phonics system to enable people to read and write. And against a wall of religious opposition, he issued a decree that women be educated in their religious rights and responsibilities. To present the award, please welcome the Right Honourable, the Baroness Scotland of Asthall QC, Minister of State for the Criminal Justice System.
Firstly, can I say how really delighted I am to be here this evening, and I have to apologise for not being Fiona McTaggart, because she unfortunately is very disappointed that she wasn't able to be here, but her loss, as you can see, is my gain. And can I also say how delighted I am that the award that I'm about to give is exemplified by somebody who actually believed in the education of women. Because I think if he hadn't believed it, I perhaps wouldn't be here. I'd really like to congratulate the Muslim News Award on hosting this, their fourth successful awards event. This evening has in many ways been extraordinarily moving. But I think what it has exemplified is that we can really rejoice in the excellence which is inherent in the Muslim community. We're here tonight to celebrate together. And one of the things that's given me immense pleasure is as I look out throughout the room, we are all here. Different colours, different religions, different backgrounds. But we share something else in common too. We are all British, and we're proud to be part of this British community. We may have many, many different identities, but those identities merge together to make us a community of people who are actually the envy of much of the world. And to celebrate these issues are really important for all of us. I think it's been said before that for evil to prevail, we only need good men and women to remain silent. And I'm pleased that the men and women in this room have not and will not in the future be silent. If we concentrate on what joins us, we're likely to find that that which separates us diminishes to a very small, small amount. And I was very moved by what Fadi Iqtani said about being a candle, because there are a number of candles of light that have been lit, and these awards are lighting many more. Therefore, the Home Office is particularly proud to be participating tonight and indeed to be sponsoring the Community Award. The government recognised that people in our diverse society often have, as I've already mentioned, several identities which are important to them. And we think this is something to be celebrated and welcomed and not feared. We would like British Muslims to feel that they can be proud of being Muslim and proud of being British. The two things should go together. And I'd also like to make it clear that we don't regard assimilation as a necessary condition for a cohesive and integrated society. We see a distinction between integration and assimilation. Integration is necessary for a successful and cohesive society. And integration is key to building bridges between separated communities. And only through this can we appreciate what people share and have in common with one another, and not really what makes them different. So it gives me enormous pleasure to be able to open this envelope. I haven't got a clue who's in here, but I'm proud to say that the winner of the Muslim News Atman Dan Fedo Award for Excellence in Community Development is the Muslim Youth Helpline.
The Muslim Youth Helpline is unique, Britain's only peer counselling support service aimed at young Muslims. Launched in 2001, it employs solely 18 to 25-year-olds fully accredited in Islamic counselling, a policy that ensures the service maintains empathy as well as sensitivity to faith and culture. The MYH, based in Wembley, Middlesex, has been awarded the AOL Innovation in Community Award for 2003 and the recent Young Partners Award presented by the National Council for Voluntary Youth Services.
Good evening to everyone who's present, and Assalamu alaikum. Representing the Muslim Youth Helpline, I can't accept this award just for me being here. It truly awards everyone who takes part in the initiative that we do, that is to offer some counselling with an Islamic-friendly service to the youth of Britain, and indeed internationally, because we do have international clients too. I am very, very surprised that we have received this award, so I have absolutely no preparation in a thank you speech at all. But I'm sure everyone will be very delighted to know that our work has been appreciated. Thank you very much.
Award number 6. It's one of those Golden Age awards, I'm afraid. It is the Alhambra Award for Excellence in the Arts, and it's sponsored by HSBC. The Alhambra, set on a hill in Granada in southern Spain, evokes the past glory of Islam. A royal city of palaces, mosques and fortresses, the Alhambra was built in the 13th century. Today, postcards and holiday programs will bring home the restored grandeur of the Alhambra's architecture and artistry. But what can't be replicated is the motivation behind the splendor. This motivation is what lifts, or should lift, Islamic art beyond the functional and the aesthetic. In the Alhambra, beautiful ideas became beautiful art in order to praise God. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Notman Hassan, Head of Amana Finance at HSBC, to present this award.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you're not looking forward to hearing a speech from a banker, so I'll keep it very short. HSBC and Muslim News have been partners for a number of years, and this relationship became even stronger this year when, as you are aware, that we became the first and the only high street bank to offer Islamic banking services in this country. As all of you know, that Islam offers complete code of life or way of life, and no way of life can be complete without a financial system. Islamic economic system is comparable to any conventional or any capitalist or socialist economic system, and Islamic banking is derived from Islamic economic system. Sometimes Islamic banking is misunderstood, as Muslims are generally misunderstood around the world. It may be structured under Islamic model, however, it is open for every individual of any faith or background. When we launched our Amana Finance in Malaysia, over 50% of people who have taken up Islamic banking belong to Chinese origin and don't follow Islamic religion. And when we launched in the UK, we've already seen a number of non-Muslims who have taken it up because they find Islamic financial structure much more ethical. So in our little way, we are trying to bring the communities together through offering Islamic finance and creating awareness about the intricacies of Islamic finance and equality that it brings to the society. So without further ado, I'm delighted to announce the winner of the Muslim News Alhambra Award for Excellence in the Art. It is Razia Waheed.
Razia Wahid is an artist specializing in delicate hand-woven textiles. After gaining first-class BA with honors from the Surrey Institute of Art and Design, Razia had her first international exhibit in Tokyo with other members of Makkah Textile Collaboration, a company she helped found. She balances teaching in West London with community work, regularly donating her creations to charities such as Islamic Relief and serving as a role model and mentor for local youth.
First of all, I'd like to say Alhamdulillah, thank you to Allah for giving me the heart, mind and hands to create what I create. And secondly, thank you to all my pupils. Because of them, I'm able to give, and I am immensely proud of them for what they do. And of course, I'd like to thank my family and everyone else at Muslim News and who are here today. Thank you. Islam is beautiful, and it is what inspires me. And my artwork is the inspiration from nature and the world. And I'd like to say that here, just seeing everyone together, uniting together, I'm really happy to see you all here, and thank you very much. Enjoy tonight, and I'll keep it short, as I said. Jazakallah khairan.
Our next award is the Ibn Sina Award for Health. Ibn Sina is known in the West as Avicenna. He was born in 980 and became the leading heart specialist of his time, perhaps of all time, because his work on cardiology continues to inform today. His many achievements include authorship of the famous Book of Healing and the Canon of Medicine. Modern medicine owes much to Islam's great philosopher-scientist, these days more so with the trend towards holistic treatment, an approach that Ibn Sina practiced and perfected 1,000 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, to present our 7th award, please welcome Viscount William Astor, Shadow Minister for Transport.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have the honour and privilege of being your guest here tonight on behalf of the Conservative Party, together with my colleague Dominic Grieve, Shadow Attorney General, who is sitting right below me. And so I welcome this opportunity to say a few words. We recognise the immense contribution the British Muslims make in this country. I believe that ceremonies such as this highlight the positive roles played by British Muslims, and ceremonies like this are extremely important. From a personal point of view, I can say it is extremely pleasing that we in the Conservative Party have selected 5 Muslim candidates to stand for parliamentary seats at the next general election. Well, actually, we're confident that all are going to win. I'm sure some of them are going to win. And they're going to be elected, and we're very encouraged by this. And if anybody out there would like to come and stand as well, please come and see me afterwards. We'd be delighted to consider your application. Ladies and gentlemen, the Conservative Party recognises that life in Britain is enhanced by the contribution of the many communities that have come and settled here. We look forward to working to create a stable environment where business, enterprise and families can flourish. The winner of the Muslim News Awards for Health is Leeds Health.
The user-led community group, Leeds Health Focus, LHF, provides healthcare and sports opportunities, focusing on Muslims in deprived areas of the city. It has established exercise classes, offered advice and support in areas ranging from mental health to healthy eating, and forged partnerships with mainstream health services in the area to ensure Muslim patients get culturally suitable care. The LHF has helped train local Muslim sports instructors, boosting health and community spirit hugely in the process.
I want to thank the Muslim News and all the dignitaries that are here. what I would like to say basically is that there is, by the media, tremendous slaughter in relation to Muslims right across the board. You, as Muslims, are here to show that you are not what the media tells, and you can do better, and that's why you are here. Thank you very much.
This award is a very difficult category to decide because our children are far more gifted, more sporting, more compassionate and more determined to succeed than any of us, so who are we to rank them? And it's also a difficult category when you think about the unsurpassable achievements of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, the highest accolade being that they were Prophet Muhammad's grandsons. To present the award, we welcome the UK Manager of Islamic Relief, Wasim Yaqub.
Politeness demands that I say good evening and assalamu alaikum. Sincerity demands that I thank and congratulate the Muslim News on another wonderful evening and another wonderful collection of winners and runners-up. And I would like to thank them, and I'd like a round of applause for Muslim News, please. The winners for this year's Imam Hassan and Hussein Children's Award are, or is, Akhlima Khanum.
Akhlima Khanum, who is now 14, looked after her 4 younger siblings from an early age, as both her parents suffered from mental illness. When the children went into foster care in Luton after their mother died, Akhlima fought to keep them together. Within their new family, she remains devoted to their care and has managed to do exceptionally well at school despite the disruptions. Throughout, she has striven to do her best for the people around her.
I would really like to thank my mom for being there for me for all these years, and I would like to thank Aisha for nominating me for this award. I wasn't really expecting this, so thank you.
The award now is the Al-Biruni Award for Excellence in Community Relations. It is sponsored by the Ministry of Defence. Al-Biruni was an astronomer from Uzbekistan who excelled in community relations 10th century style. At that time, Islam was the dominant religion, but it was in danger of losing a vital aspect of its character, respect for the beliefs of others. So how did this prolific poet stroke philosopher stroke mathematician stroke historian, how did he help to restore a more tolerant Islam? In India, he was Sultan Mahmud's chief advisor and astronomer, which meant he could have just predicted a rosy future for the tyrant and end of story. Instead, he spoke out against the Sultan's attacks on the art and culture of the Hindus, and he researched and highlighted the scientific developments made by non-Muslims. Will you please welcome to present the Al-Biruni Award for Excellence in Community Relations, Trevor Phillips, Chairman of the Commission for Racial Equality.
I want to make 2 points. One is to tell you something, and the other is to say something about the Muslim Council of Britain's decision to write to all Imams today. And I want to say this because I don't think it will be said by Iqbal Tokrani and his colleagues, but I think we need to say this publicly. This was an act of great courage by mainstream Muslims. I think we need to say that the fact that the MCB has done this has placed this simple appeal to communities, has placed Iqbal and his colleagues in real, serious jeopardy. They are now the targets themselves for extremists. Now this is a bold thing to say, but I think we cannot say so strongly how important this is. I want to make a separate point to relate to this. This is not the first time, though it has been said today how extraordinary this is. This is not the first time the MCB has done this and shown such leadership, and other parts of the mainstream Muslim leadership. We had a look at the MCB website today, And we counted 25 separate occasions in the last 5 years where they have done exactly the same thing, but nobody has paid the slightest bit of attention. Let's hope that after today, they pay as much attention as they've done in the last 24 hours every time the MCB makes this kind of statement. The second point I want to make is that tonight's awards highlight just some of the major contributions British Muslims make to our societies. Yet, we very seldom recognize those contributions in the way that we should. I read papers every day, and I see and I hear what my colleagues in public life say. And every day, we ask Muslims to prove their loyalty and their commitment to Britain. Yet, as Ahmed Versi pointed out at the beginning of this ceremony, we do not do very much in return. We do not demonstrate faith and commitment in British Muslims. We allow people to denigrate British Muslims. We do not even stand up in any sense, in a vigorous way, to the absolute catastrophe that is being visited on Muslim brothers and sisters in France today. Now, I think that this issue of integration, which I think Baroness Scotland correctly and eloquently described, is a two-way street. And that is why we at the Commission for Racial Equality, in spite of the fact that I know some people in this hall would criticize us for it, we drew a line at the insult and the denigration of Robert Kilroy-Silk, and we will do it again anytime anybody goes on that road. I'm also just want to take the opportunity tonight to announce that we at the CRE intend to play our part, a small part, admittedly, in giving British Muslims a louder voice. I'm announcing that we've appointed Khurshid Ahmed, who will be known to many of you as the chair of the National Association of British Pakistanis and the chair of Dudley Muslim Association, to act as the CRE's official spokesperson on Muslim issues. The government, the media, and Muslim communities themselves need to hear the authentic, representative voice that is emerging amongst British Muslims rather than that of the extremists. And giving Khurshid the authority to speak on behalf of the Commission is one way, I hope, of giving the British Muslim communities that prominence. And I know that he will speak forcibly and courageously for his fellow Muslims. So let me, without further ado, proceed to tell you the winner of the Al-Baruni Award for Excellence in Community Relations. The winner, I'm pleased to say, is Khalid Yassin.
Khalid Yassin is Executive Director of the Islamic Teaching Institute, an organisation dedicated to promoting Islam. Based in Sheffield, Khalid lectures widely on Islam to audiences of predominantly non-Muslims and new Muslims. Most recently, Khalid has established the Islamic Information Network, the first Islamic satellite channel to broadcast in Europe, and a film production studio, putting together Islamic media projects.
I say that the real award is for the many silent, unknown, and deceased Muslim activists and thinkers who have contributed and are still contributing to the evolution of Islamic awareness and Islamic revival throughout the contemporary world. It is the handwriting on the wall by the divine ink of scriptural revelation that Islam will be offered to the world as a viable proposition to the social, political, and the moral dilemma of world leadership, which, unfortunately, is steeped in materialism and the quest of global imperialism. I am honored to have been chosen by Almighty God for the work of disseminating the Islamic message and to be one of those people chosen for that message throughout 23 countries and attempting to remove distortions and misconceptions concerning Islam and Muslims. Finally, I want to thank the Muslim News and their great work of assembling such a diverse group of dignified and esteemed persons, each of the previous award ceremonies as well as this one. And finally, I give the compliments and the praise solely for Almighty God and I'm humbled in my acceptance of this award, and I want to thank everybody here.
This 10th award is sponsored by the London Development Agency, or should that be London Development Agency? It is the al-Mu'mineen Khadija Award for Excellence in Enterprise. Everything we know about Khadija, Prophet Muhammad's first wife, is special. She is the ultimate role model for us. A mother, a leading businesswoman, she used her wisdom and her wealth to protect and promote a fledgling faith. Khadija was a rare and valuable asset in a community where the life of a baby girl was often not worth the sand she was buried alive in. Khadija was a partner to Prophet Muhammad in every sense of the word. After all, it was a revolutionary faith that she sponsored, an ostracized prophet that she comforted, and a unique family that she raised. And that is why we call her al-Mu'mineen, Mother of the Faithful. Would you please welcome to present the al-Mu'mineen Khadija Award for Excellence in Enterprise, Yvonne Thompson, board member of the London Development Agency.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the London Development Agency, just in case some of you don't know what the London Development Agency is, we're the economic arm of the Mayor's Office. And we are basically there to deliver the plan, the London Plan for London, or the Mayor's Plan for London, which is going to be carried out over the next 15 years. I think hopefully some of you will agree that he's already made a good start, and within the next 15 or the next 12 years, we should see a big difference. The cross-cutting themes throughout the plan are health, sustainability, equality, and diversity. And it's really the diversity strand that has kind of led us to be part of tonight's event and to promote this particular category. Just to echo, what's already been said, and I know it's a bit boring, but I will say it, we are extremely pleased to see the mix of cultures here tonight. It is truly a great achievement to Ahmed and the Muslim News and the rest of the team for putting together such a wonderful collection of people tonight. There are many, many really good role models, and if you're a nominee and you're not walking away with a trophy, you're still a winner, because that's exactly what we need. We need good role models to start redressing the awful negative news that we've had in the press recently. So I will end by just congratulating everybody involved in tonight's event. Congratulate you for being here tonight. The winner of the Muslim News Enterprise Award is Pharmaco 2000.
Pharmaco 2000 is a buying group which operates as a cooperative venture supporting independent pharmacies throughout United Kingdom. One of its principles includes a profit-sharing scheme which is extended to its members who support its activities. Now 10 years old, Pharmaco 2000 boasts in excess of 150 members and has a revenue in excess of £250,000 per year. One of its renowned factors is allocating a percentage of its profits to a variety of charities. The wealth allows Pharmaco 2000 to allocate resources in training its members to new developments in education, information technology, business skills, and in future it aims to link to a wider audience through a website and e-commerce to enhance its profile.
Thank you.
I begin in the name of Allah, the most beneficent and merciful. My honored guests, respected dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers in Islam, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to thank the judges for awarding this prestigious honor to Pharmaco 2000. It was something that we were not expecting, but it is especially precious knowing that it has come from fellow Muslims. Pharmaco was formed a decade ago by a group of Muslim community pharmacists to form a formidable buying group. It has also given us the opportunity to help in various charities as well as sponsoring upcoming pharmacies. I would like to thank all the members, directors, past and present, who have helped to make Pharmaco 2000 the successful phase. And finally, I would also like to take this opportunity to comment on the excellent work of the Muslim news team, whose unbiased articles of the highest caliber have earned the views of Muslims in the UK a spotlight in the media. And finally, it is very encouraging sign indeed of the Muslim unity in action at this professional level. Once again, thank you for this award, and may Allah keep us all in His tender care. Wassalamu alaikum.
This award now, it's nearly dinner time, is the Faiza Hashmi Award for Excellence in Sports. Faiza Hashmi campaigns for the right of Muslim women to take part in sporting events at the highest levels without having to compromise their religious principles. In the public arena, this means that the International Olympic Committee has permitted women to compete at the Olympics in hijab. And for the Muslim women here, can you imagine how difficult it is to ride a horse and keep your scarf on? The impossible. It also means that Muslim women, Muslim sportswomen from around the world are able to participate at an international competition held annually in Iran. More significantly for Muslim girls in this country, it means that the first obstacle to enjoying sport is now removed, parental disapproval. There is now a point in our daughters training after school, at the weekends, whenever, because thanks to Faiza Hashmi, there is a Muslim-friendly event of the highest standard to aim for. Muslim girls can now win medals for Britain. Please welcome to present the award its namesake, Faiza Hashmi.
به نام خدا، خانم ها آقایان، سلام عرض میکنم. از حضور در 4مین دوره جشن شایستگی مسلم نیوز مثل همیشه بسیار خوشحال هستم. بعد از فاجعه 11 سپتامبر در امریکا، متاسفانه اختلاف‌ها، درگیری‌ها، کشتارها، جنگ‌ها، بی‌عدالتی‌ها در سرتاسر دنیا بیشتر و گسترده‌تر شده است. بعضی از این وقایع در واکنش به بی‌عدالتی‌ها و زورگویی‌هاست و بعضی به بهانه حقوق بشر و جنگ با تروریسم، اما با هدف کسب منافع اقتصادی و سیاسی. دسته اول مخفیانه و دسته دوم علنی و با ظاهر فریبنده. هر دو تروریسم است و محکوم، و دسته دوم بیشتر از دسته اول چون با دروغ و ریا همراه است. کشتار مردم بیپناه فلسطین که برای حق طبیعی و بدیهی خود مبارزه می کنند بعد از 85 سال همچنان به عنوان اضافه می شود و مثال بارزی از تروریسم آشکار و حتی قتل عام است. و عجبا که برخی از مدعیان حقوق بشر و جنگ با تروریسم نه تنها سکوت کردند بلکه حمایت می کنند. تبلیغات علیه مسلمانان و تنگ کردن شرایط زندگی بر آنان روز به روز بیشتر شده که نمونه آن ممنوعیت حجاب زنان در مدارس دولتی فرانسه است. لذا در این شرایط این گردهمایی که نشانگر خلاقیت، تلاش، علم، عقل، تجربه، انگیزه، پیشرفت و وحدت مسلمانان است ارزش ویژه می‌یابد. ورزش امروزه به عنوان یک ضرورت مطرح است و جامعه مسلمانان به ویژه زنان نیز نبایستی از این موهبت محروم باشند، چرا که سلامتی و تندرستی، اعتماد به نفس، شجاعت و تحور، همکاری اجتماعی و تحمل در مقابل شکست و تلاش برای پیروزی را می‌آموزد. به آقای احمد ورسی، همکارانشان و حامیانشان تبریک عرض می‌کنم. متشکرم.
Ladies and gentlemen, as usual, I'm very pleased to be here for the Muslim News Award. After 9/11's atrocity in the
the disagreements, clashes, bloodshed, wars, and injustice are more spread in the world. Some of those incidents are reactions to injustice and misuse of power. Some of them are happened with the excuse of defending the human rights or war with terrorism. The latter sometimes are based on political and economic interest. The intention of first categories are hidden, but those categories are condemned and both can be called terrorism. After 85 years of conflict of in Palestine, the tragedy is deepened and became worse day by day. It is the best example of state terrorism and even genocide. In this situation, I'm wondering why sometimes those who are worried about human rights and terrorism not only kept quiet about this sad situation, but also defend the state terrorism. The propaganda against Muslims and tightening the living environment for them, for those communities, are increasing. The best example of that is banning of the wearing hijab at French state schools. Therefore, in this situation, this great gathering is the sign of creativity, effort, knowledge, wisdom, experience, intention, and progress of the unity of Muslims. It has also a special value in this critical situation of the world. Today, sports is a necessity for everybody, especially for Muslim and especially ladies. It is essential for health, self-confidence, boldness, and social cooperation. It teaches us to tolerate towards defeats and try for triumph. At the end, I would like to congratulate Mr. Ahmed Versi and his colleagues and his sponsors for this ceremony. Finally, this year I'm more pleased to be here since the winner of the Faiz Rafsanjani Award for Sport is a lady.
Winner of the Muslim News Faiz Hashemi Award for Excellence in Sport is Yasmin Nawaz. Okay?
Yasmin Nawaz, 25, is a consummate sportswoman. While excelling in football and athletics, her main achievements lie in the Korean martial arts discipline, Taekwondo. She won the top grade in Scotland when tested for her first Dan, black belt, and has received numerous trophies in Scottish and British tournaments. Now aiming to compete internationally, Yasmin also teaches the discipline to other Muslim women and children to build up both self-defense skills and overall confidence.
Assalamu alaikum. Well, I'm going to keep this short and simple. I'd like to thank the Muslim news world, and I'm honoured to be here and represent Scotland as well. Thank you.
On to Award 13, the Fazlur Rahman Khan Award for Excellence in Engineering, Science and Technology. Without wishing to downplay for a second the importance of any of the other awards, this is the award where you have to be really, really clever. I mean, this is really harder than, proper O-levels. This is for people who do Rubik Cube backwards. Fazlur Rahman Khan was born in Bangladesh in 1929 and went on to earn a place in design and engineering history. He was the man who, having already developed the revolutionary tube concept to do with skyscrapers and pinning them down, having brought in a new era of technology, he designed what was in 1975 the tallest building in the world, the Sears Tower in Chicago. The Fazlur Rahman Khan Award for Excellence in Science, Engineering and Technology is sponsored by Melchem Pharmaceuticals and will be presented by Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed, who is a senior lecturer in physical chemistry at APU and the University of Cambridge.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. I'm going to keep this rather short and sweet for two reasons. One being that I haven't prepared a speech, and the second reason being because my stomach's rumbling. I was elected Vice Chair of the panel of judges for this year's awards, and whilst reading and sifting through the nominations, I was quite touched and pleased and somewhat humbled to see the valuable contribution that Muslim scientists and engineers of today have made, not only to their respective fields, but to society in general. Unfortunately, not all of them can be winners, but we have one winner this evening. And the winner of the Muslim News Fazlur Rahman Award for Excellence in Engineering, Science and Technology is Fazlun Khalid of IFES.
After a long career with the Commission for Racial Equality, Fazlun Khalid forged a second as a foremost expert on ecology from the Islamic perspective. He has established the NGO, the Islamic Foundation for Ecology and Environmental Science, and is a consultant to the Worldwide Fund for Nature and a Director of Training at the Alliance of Religions and Conservation. Fazlun has written Quran, Creation and Conservation and has edited Islam and Ecology. He lives in Granada, Spain.
Life is a tapestry, isn't it? And it's here. I'm inspired to say much, but this work that I'm doing, I think, if I could say so, it underlies everything else. It's like the Titanic has hit the iceberg, but people are not really aware of what is really going on. I agree with and empathize with much of what has been said this evening. But I would like to remind you, seeing that I'm here and I've come a long way, that there's something else is going on that you really need to be aware of. And that is the ecosystems of this finite planet we are living in is under severe threat. And we are, in the meantime, back at the ranch having a good time. And the reason I focused on this work after I left the CRE was first to try and find out what Islam has to say about this whole business. And Islam has to say much. It has a lot to say. And then once having discovered this, to inform Muslims about this, and then exhort them to take this teaching and give it to others. In fact, this is about giving service. We call Khidmat al-Islam. What can Muslims do locally, regionally, nationally, internationally, to make a difference to something that is profoundly affecting all of us. And this is the contribution that we can make as Muslims to alleviate a great problem. When I talk about this, I think about our grandchildren, your grandchildren. What kind of a world are we leaving them? And I say to the Muslims, join me in doing this work and giving it to the world at large. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Tonight's penultimate award is the Allama Iqbal Award for Creativity in Islamic Thought. This award is sponsored by Latifs. Born in 1877 in India, Muhammad Iqbal, through his poetic and philosophical inquiry, came to be known as Allama, the learned one. Neither a mystic nor a mullah, Iqbal was adamant that the Muslims of northwest India be given a separate state. For Iqbal, Islam was the reason for social reform, and it was the means to social reform. To present this award, let's welcome Dr. Farhan Nizami, and he is the director of the Oxford Centre for Islamic Studies.
Distinguished guests, there may be many challenges that Muslims face in the contemporary world, but there is none greater than the one they face in the realm of ideas. I believe it is the Islamic duty of Muslims to make a contribution to the great debates of our time. But any such debate has to be based on the essence of Islam, on an authentic understanding of Islam, be informed by the highest and most rigorous standards of scholarship, and be relevant to the needs not just of Muslims, but of everyone. I'm delighted that Muslim News has established this award, and I'm very pleased to announce the winner of the Muslim News Allama Iqbal Award for creativity in Islamic thought to Charles Ligai Eaton.
Writer, diplomat and scholar Charles Ligai Eaton, Hassan Abdul Hakim, who lives in Purley, Surrey, has spent much of his life serving Britain and the British Muslim community. In addition to his work as a consultant at London's Islamic Cultural Centre, Guy, now 82, has written many influential, original and thought-provoking books on Islam, including The Richest Vein, Islam and the Destiny of Man, Remembering God, Reflections on Islam, and The Concept of God in Islam.
Distinguished guests, brothers and sisters in Islam, it would, I think, be a sin, certainly a crime, to delay you further when I think we are all very ready for dinner. So I'll confine myself, I hope, to about 60 seconds and say, from the point of view of an old man like myself who's been Muslim now for 52 years, there's never been a time when the unity, cooperation of the community was more essential. For we are facing very hard times. The example of France has been mentioned. I'm sure we shall face problems here in view of particularly recent events and accusations against young Muslims. What we really have to do is just to push ahead and ignore the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Of course, there is no alternative. One of the award winners earlier on remarked that some event could destroy all the work that he might have done over previous years. This happens to us. One news headline can destroy the work that somebody has put in for years and for years. And so we have no alternative but to go ahead doing what we think is right and what we think is necessary. Of course, the ultimate outcome is not in our hands, it is in the hands of Allah Ta'ala. So, Assalamu alaikum and thank you.
Okay, this really is the penultimate award. That one wasn't, this one is. It is the Ibn Battuta Award for Excellence in Media. And this is the thing. Ibn Battuta, a Moroccan lawyer, gets to travel through 3 continents. He blags his way through some of it. He gets generous expenses paid for the rest of it. And he's an absentee father several times over. He comes home in 1356 to write about his experiences, and he gets someone else to do the bulk of the work for him. Successful journalist, I think. Cynicism aside, the world knows Ibn Battuta as the greatest traveller of pre-modern times. During his lifetime, he set foot on every Muslim country on the globe. His wanderlust is our gain. His book, The Rihla, provides a unique account of the otherwise inaccessible lives and traditions of others. Not unlike Al Jazeera, he got there first. To present this award, we welcome the Deputy Leader and Foreign Affairs Spokesman for the Liberal Democrats, the Right Honourable Mingus Campbell.
The hour is late, but the pace is quickening, and I shall not trespass upon your patience, although to a politician the prospect of a captive audience is almost irresistible. But on behalf of my Liberal Democrat colleagues and myself, may I say that we count it a great privilege indeed to have been invited to participate in this most prestigious and splendid occasion. And the winner of the Muslim News Award for Excellence in Media is Sandra Herbert.
As religious producer at BBC Radio Leicester, Sandra Herbert's job is to ensure the station's programming represents all faiths. She has encouraged contributions for Muslims such as Thought for the Day, and has also enabled young Muslims to train in broadcasting and in formulating their own programs. Sandra helped one such young broadcaster, Abdul Sattar, put together the 4-part series, Myths About Muslims. He has won 3 top media awards.
My job is to give people a voice using the wonderful medium of radio. I do that in the most vibrant city, Leicester, which is one of the most diverse cities in the world. It also is a pioneering city because it was where the first local radio station opened in 1967. It's also going to be the first British city where the ethnic minority becomes the majority. And if you look at the under-25s, that is already happening. So why aren't young people given more of a voice in the media? I decided to take on that challenge, and my goodness, it was a challenge. And I started working with Muslim teenagers. They were only 16, 17, 18. We produced this series of programs called Myths About Muslims. I then worked with a 16-year-old Peterborough girl on a series of 4 programs on sacrifice. Tremendous fun. You know, there's nothing like young people to bring humour and freshness and vitality to broadcasting, and we need that. Young people don't get much of a voice, and young people of faith don't, so I have been terrifically privileged to be able to do that. So thank you very much, Muslim News, for giving me this award. I also have to thank my Muslim friends in Leicester for trusting. I tell you what, you have to trust young people. It's a very risky business. Thank you to them. Thank you to them for nominating me. I also would like to thank the BBC, because the BBC gave me support in doing this, and the BBC provided me with extra funding through its Creative Religious Fund. And I also would like to give a plug really to something positive. I'd like to end on a positive note, because a lot has been said tonight negatively about the media. We're not all baddies. I've been at a conference today organised by the Media Trust and the Interfaith Network, and there are so many good examples. So I think it's right that we end on a positive note in relation to the media. And then finally, of course, I have to thank those young people who are terrifically talented. We need them in the media. So I'd like to thank Abdul Rahim Sattar, Hamza Vayani, Nisa Khan, and Haja Javaheri for all the work that they did. And it doesn't end there, because now I'm working with a mixed group of faith young people, including Hindus, Christians, and Muslims. So you never know, you might see me here next year.
Okay, everybody's getting the hint now. The last award is the Iman wa Amal Special Award. There are no nominations as such for this award, because it is the judges who decide among themselves upon a worthy recipient. To present the Iman wa Amal Special Award, please welcome from the independent panel of judges, Executive Director of the Fulbright Commission, Carol Madsen-Graham.
Yes, please serve dinner. We can speak above the clatter. The winners of this award are the last, but he, she, or they should not be deprived of their moment. Let me just say that the Fulbright Commission does have past, present, and I can also say future scholars, because we've just made our selection, who are Muslims from both the United States and the United Kingdom. So we're well acquainted with the quality of young people produced by the Muslim community. However, as the only non-Muslim judge, I was very unaware of some of the wonderful projects and individuals, only a sampling of whom you have seen this evening. So I would urge you to encourage, especially young people, to take advantage of the opportunities offered by the Fulbright program, which is a scholarship program, and all of the other scholarship programs, and indeed by the organizations which are represented here this evening. We need these talented people, and I think we have much to offer them. We all have different missions, but we all value moral excellence, commitment to the community, and the desire to make a better world. And those are the criteria for the Judges Award, which it is my pleasure and privilege to present. This year, the Judges Award for the Muslim News Awards for Excellence is presented to Hartley Village Community.
Hartley Village Community is a Kentish village south of Dartford, a close-knit and friendly community. In 1997, the people of Hartley welcomed a Muslim family newly arrived from Pakistan, helping them to settle into local schools and the wider community. When the family's middle child developed bone cancer in 2001, the local community, and particularly churchgoers from the parish, responded immediately, offering not just practical help, but also tremendous emotional support and understanding.
In receiving this award, I just want to affirm our common humanity, and that it is as we care for one another that we live out the values that we all share. And I particularly want to affirm the Reza family, who are very close personal friends. They've made such a contribution in our village, and our love and prayers surround them as they have worked through having cancer in the family. And their faith in the face of this adversity is a real testimony and an example to us all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the irrepressibly saintly, the eminently modest, and my own dinky role model, Sarah Sharif.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a bit of a tickly cough. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. It is from numberless diverse acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. Each time a person stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, he or she sends forth a tiny ripple of hope, and, crossing each other from a million diverse different centers of energy and daring, these ripples build a current which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and injustice. God willing, many such ripples have been seen and showcased tonight, and they, and the many others that go unacknowledged by the wider community, will and can change our country and our society and our world for the better. The question for us is, will the Muslim contribution ever be acknowledged? And a reminder that Islamophobia can occur by omission as well as commission. Many of you, no doubt, have noticed the prevalence of Asian and Black awards, quite rightly, on British broadcasting media. Will we have an opportunity one day to have the media here to cover these awards in their own right, rather than because the Muslim community is yet again being associated with something negative in the past 24 hours? Anyway, putting aside negative thoughts, that we were able to organize these awards again this year for the fourth time owes a lot to a number of people. And if you allow me, I'll just quickly whiz through and perhaps we can all give them a big ovation right at the very end. The people who we'd particularly like to thank, and there are very many, and I can't go through all of them, but we'd like especially to thank our overseas guests, our eminent guests from South Africa, Minister Ibrahim Rasool and his wife, Mrs. Razida Shabodi. From the same country, Sheikh Murshid Davids of the Center for Training and Development, Johannesburg. Thanks also to Usman Bugaji, Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the Nigerian Federal House of Representatives, and also to Mrs. Faiza Hashmi, who has supported us yet again for the fourth time in coming over from Iran. Thanks are also due to the sponsors of the Muslim News Awards for Excellence, as without their financial backing, none of this would have been possible. Then there are the members of the Muslim News organizing team who have given their skills, their time, their experience, all on a voluntary basis. Particularly, we'd like to mention Ehsan Masood, Elham Al-Baras, Shaheen Mohammed, who has organized the wonderful team of young volunteers, university and school students, who you've seen ushering us and looking after us all so well. Also, we'd like to thank Zafar Malik of East West University in Chicago, who's been the designer for the last couple of years of the wonderful brochures that you have before you. And we'd also like to thank Faisal Doji, our contact in South Africa, who helped liaise over our overseas guests. Thanks are also due to the management and staff at the Park Lane Sheraton here for their excellent support and help. And I'm sure we ought to thank them a lot for having to stay a little bit late as we've run late in the program. Now, you can see all sorts of TV, you can see all sorts now on TV in terms of presenters. But whether they are white, brown or black, there's scarcely a break from the monotony of skimpy clothes and magazine cover looks. But Cara Wolverine may have the brains, Moira Stewart has the charm, Nadia Sawalha has the bubbly personality. But as you saw, in Rifat Yusuf, we have a waiting to be discovered gem. And really, anybody here who's got any connection with diversity management in media should come and pinhole this lady very quickly. But I wonder if you've ever wondered as well as I have, what is wrong with religiosity as a lifestyle choice? Every other lifestyle choice seems to be represented very well. Of course, the awards would not have happened at all without the process of nominating and judging all the nominations. So a big thank you to all the Muslim News readers who in their scores, and despite all the gloomy news of this last 12 months, nominated individuals and projects of excellence, and to Rashid Masoodi and the chairman and his colleagues on the panel of judges who really had a very, very hard task in choosing between all the equally wonderful examples of excellence showcased here today. Finally, we'd like to thank all of you for sharing this occasion with us and wish that you enjoy your meal and the company that are here gathered. And as is customary, we'd like to just end with a short passage of the Quran from chapter 104. By the passage of time, mankind is truly in a state of loss, except for him who believes and does good work, and enjoins others to truth, and enjoins others to steadfastness. Assalamu alaikum and good night.
Thank you, Sarah. That's the formalities over with. Let's gorge. I've still got a ring. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.